Why is crypto dumping today? And what are some secret signals that indicate a reversal? We're going to be taking a look into that later today in this video. We're also going to be taking a look into a few altcoin setups and their price targets. Looking at what's going on in these altcoins, which includes Venom Blockchain, Polkadot, as well as what is the next one? VRA, Verasity. See what's going on in these three coins. What has gone on since the last time I have updated you guys on these coins. Also going to be taking a look into some news, major crypto news, especially with the Fed meeting coming up tomorrow, what to expect, what are some key levels to be paying attention to. All right, so we're going to dive right into that right now. So the secret signal, the most key important signal that I am watching out for personally is Bitcoin. Okay, we're gonna dive into Bitcoin in just 1 second, but let's take a look into some news real quick. Okay, so this is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin threatens 104k rug pull as trader says major move yet to come. So this trader sounds pretty bearish, right? It seems like what this trader is saying is that we could go down from here from 104k. Well, I mean, I think everyone has different opinions in this market. If you don't believe me, you can just see the amount of green and red candles that's happening on the hourly time frame, right? Or on a certain time frame. I think 104k is a very important level because that is where the daily 50 SMA is at. If we lose that level, the next key level I'll be looking at is currently at about 102k. Okay, not that far away, but I mean, that is still somewhat of a drop for Bitcoin, which will affect the altcoins. Bitcoin is the driver in this market, and if it dumps, the altcoins will be following. And of course, if it pumps, then that will pump the altcoins as well. So you want to be rooting for Bitcoin. All right, so next, this is by NewsBTC. Analysts predicts Bitcoin price crash as war tensions mount in Middle East. I think, well, just by reacting to this headline alone and not getting into the details, because if you want to get into the details, you can. I'm pulling these news from TradingView, and you guys can look at it in TradingView on the news section. And I have an affiliate link to TradingView if you guys want to check it out in the description section below. If you guys sign up for a plan using my link, I will also get a commission, so that supports my channel, and thank you very much. But just by reacting to this headline here, war tensions mount. I mean, yeah, I think the crash already kind of happened based on the war. That was last week, where Bitcoin went from 107k to about 102k. But we're still consolidating in a bullish pattern here. Okay. Now there's gonna be like I said, there's gonna be a lot of opinions in this market. Really important to just stay convicted in what I'm seeing, and what I'm seeing is what's on the charts. Okay. So I mean, there are some possibilities how this war could affect the markets. So it could affect inflation because of oil, right? And if oil actually, disrupts inflation, then we might actually get rate cuts later down the line and not probably more delayed rate cuts. And that's bad for the markets. But I think that is still a wait and see situation. And I'll update you guys if I see any updates here. All right, this one is by Today Q News. Bitcoin spot ETF inflows stay strong. IBIT leads the charge. That's definitely bullish news for crypto, as we're seeing these ETFs still inflowing pretty strongly, at least according to this headline here. This one's by Cointelegraph. Watch these Bitcoin price levels ahead of Fed Chair Powell's speech, I very much agree. I think the Fed meeting is definitely an event that I am always cautious about. Based on my own experience, I've seen some pretty crazy moves happening, both on the upside and downside. Me personally, I don't like over leveraging ahead of that event. I want to know, what the sentiment is coming out of that event and how the market reacts during the event. Okay, so that's gonna be happening tomorrow. I'll keep you guys covered before the meeting. But some price levels I'm paying attention to is going to be the 3-day 21 SMA currently at about 102K almost. Of course, the weekly 21 SMA that's further below down. We can take a look into the charts real quick here. All right, next one, crypto potato. Bitcoin boom or bust. The Fed's interest rate decision looms tomorrow. Well, I think the Fed is, based on the CME watch tool, right? The Fed is not going to cut rates tomorrow. Most likely, okay? I'm just going to say they're not going to cut rates tomorrow. So I think what I'm really looking at is they're updating their SEP tomorrow, which tells us how many rate cuts they're going to be performing throughout the end of this year. And when usually, when would the rate cuts are more likely going to happen? What I'm paying attention to is, if the Feds actually delay the rate cuts. I think right now the more likely rate cut is going to come in September. If that gets delayed, I think that's really bad news for the markets. Okay, so that's what I'm looking out for. And the second is going to be how many rate cuts they're going to do. They're going to do this year, right? Originally, they're going to cut twice. So if they're going to cut just once, I think that's also bad for the markets. All right, let's go ahead and go to some charts now, okay? Bitcoin right now is still running within this symmetrical triangle pattern. Okay, that is still a bullish consolidation pattern because it is the direction was up prior to the pattern. And if this pattern actually still breaks out, we have a price target. If it breaks out by this point, it's going to be about 122K. That would be a very good pump for Bitcoin and, of course, the altcoins. Okay. Right now, it is basically at the bottom trend line of the symmetrical triangle pattern. It is also at the daily 50 SMA, which is the gray line here. Now, what are some reversal signals I am looking at right now? Okay. Basically right now on the lower time frames, 4-hour time frame, we have some reversal signals here. What I'm talking about is bullish divergence on the RSI. We have a lower low here. However, if you compare it with either of these two lows, it is still a higher low on the RSI. Very important. It usually indicates a pullback. Not just on the 4-hour, but I think I see it on the 6-hour as well. That could be coming up, okay, if it ends up like this in about 2 hours. Okay, so that is basically what I'm seeing as reversal signals. I know a lot of new traders or could miss the signal, so definitely something to be paying attention to. Of course, what I'm saying here is purely my opinions and speculations. None of what I'm saying here is financial advice. You should do your own due diligence and plan ahead yourself. All right, let's go ahead and go to. We're not going to talk about Ethereum today because it's going to follow Bitcoin. ES1 exclamation mark. Like I said, it still had a very strong day yesterday. It had a huge pump. Not only that, but it also reversed against that breakdown of that rising wedge we've been talking about last week. So that's a very good signal, and this is highly correlated with Bitcoin. So if this thing does not dump, that is good for Bitcoin, and if it pumps, it's more likely than not it's good for Bitcoin as well, which is good for the altcoins. Let's come to VRA and see what's going on in this market. Now this is Verasity USDT. I know that some of my viewers have different opinions themselves about this coin fundamentally. I'm just really paying attention to what's on the charts here and discussing what's on the charts. If you guys have anything else to share, feel free to share it in the comment section below. But let's talk about this real quick. Okay, weekly time frame. Weekly time frame. This pattern is still valid. Falling wedge pattern. It's going to be a very common pattern you guys will see throughout these charts, especially after an extensive downtrend, and it usually indicates a breakout or a reversal to the upside. Okay, weekly time frame still valid. About 1.6 cents price target if it breaks out of this pattern to the upside. All right, daily time frame. I want to note that there was a falling wedge pattern here I've talked about and I've invalidated because it tried to break out, but price action broke back into the pattern. That's very important to read charts. And we have another falling wedge pattern here, which have a price target of about 0.23 cents if it breaks out by this point here. Okay. Now, also want to point out there could be a possible double bottom scenario here, okay, but that is not until VRA gets to about 0.1 cents on the weekly time frame with the close. All right, let's go to the next one. Next one is going to be, we're going to be talking about Venom Blockchain. See what's going on in this market. This is actually a very bullish chart here on this weekly time frame, and I'll tell you why. First of all, we have a rounded bottom, right? Which, you know, if you have rounded bottoms, that means you're getting higher lows. And if you hold those higher lows, the next logical move is a higher high. That is what an uptrend looks like. Okay. Aside from that, we have a cup and handle pattern here that is probably more validated on a daily time frame. Okay. And the price target for this cup and handle pattern is going to be about 38 cents price target. Now, price targets are estimates only. It could be more, it could be less. And just because if it breaks out does not mean that you're going to be smooth sailing to that price target. There could be a lot of things that happen. There could be a very short breakout before the price action breaks back into the pattern. Something to just be paying attention to and plan around what to do in those scenarios, okay? What I do is I probably would take some profits off the table and I will try to re-enter if the price action looks right. That is one way I would approach it, depending on how much I am allocated into this market. All right, so that's basically what I'm seeing for Venom Blockchain. Let's take a look into Polkadot. I know some of you guys have some pretty strong opinions about Polkadot as well. But hey, I'm just trying to keep it here on the charts. You guys can leave your discussions in the comment section below. Let's take a look into the weekly time frame. Still valid pattern. Okay, what I'm talking about is this falling wedge pattern. Like I said, it's going to be a very common chart or pattern you guys will see on these charts. And weekly time frame still valid. Price target still $19. Polkadot if it breaks out of this pattern to the upside. Daily time frame. Daily time frame here broke out of this smaller falling wedge pattern within this bigger one. Price target is about $10. Okay, broke out of it. This is kind of an example as I would illustrate. So it broke out of it. Price action didn't really go that far. Still very valid breakout in my opinion because it's still above this upward trend line. That is just my subjective opinion. Okay, let's take a look into the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame. This is still a falling wedge pattern, and this breakout is still valid. Price target $4.80, but you know, like price target the price action broke out. Went to about $4.35 before crashing. This is still a valid breakout because it's still above this upward trend line, even though it's, you know, going below the breakout point here. Some reversal signals that could be seen here, which is bullish divergence, which usually indicate a reversal, but it doesn't tell me how big of a reversal, and that's when charting comes in on some of these lower time frames and see if I can get a price target from here. But I don't see a. I'm really not seeing a particular pattern here, but I'm just seeing the reversal on the RSI. Of course, all of this is going to depend on Bitcoin. I don't trade altcoins without the concept of the Bitcoin chart in mind. Now, that basically wraps it up for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.